Oh yeah, what's up, everybody? Once again, we are locked in the dungeon. I am Frank Red. How you doing out there? It is a pleasure and an honor to talk to you about what's going on in the world of sports, life, music, hip hop, whatever else might be on your mind. We can chop it up over the next 90 minutes, 2 hours, or we'll fill that one out. But there's a lot to talk about, a lot of different genres. The great DJ Premier and Nas hooked up for another cut I like. Took me back to the 90s. Vintage DJ Premier production. Nas has the best discography of any rapper in history. Let's just say that. That's true. As I digress, we can mix in some hip hop. I love hip hop. I'm an artist. You guys know that. And I would say 1 month, I'll have another release in the market. I got 4 songs out on YouTube right now. The next joint is called My First Coach, a song I wanted to write for a couple of decades about my first coach. And really excited about that. I'm in the studio working on that, reflecting on those experiences. And I'm excited about it. Hopefully you will be also. In the meantime, my name is Frank Red. What's up, everybody? If you're just watching for the first time and you don't know who I am, I'm just somebody who loves sports, who know a little something about sports, having played at a very high level, D1 level, been a coach for a long period of time. I'm an artist, but I think more than anything, I'm a conversationalist. And my playing experience doesn't necessarily mean that it's most valuable in doing a sports talk show or any type of show. I think what's really important is I like to listen. I love to listen to other people's points of view so I can learn. I'm a lifetime learner and I love to do that. So if you have some interesting takes on what's going on in sports, don't hesitate to comment in the comment section because we would love to talk to you. We're going to kind of be all over the map because I haven't done a show in probably about 5 or 6 days, and there's a lot going on. We had the abrupt conclusion of the Golden State Warriors season. They lost to the Sacramento Kings in the 9-10 game. And from the start of that particular game, you got the sense that the Warriors were going to be in trouble. Clay had probably the worst game that Klay Thompson has played as a professional. Did not make a shot, did not score a point, shot himself out of the game, and as a result, put the Warriors in a really tough situation. I don't think that was the reason why they lost, but it didn't help. Mike Brown and his staff put together an incredible defensive game plan that worked exquisitely well. And they got contributions from players that they normally don't get, i.e. Keegan Murray, 32 points. And I actually was happy for the Sacramento Kings market. Sacramento gave me my start, as you guys know. I'm a bigger supporter of the Kings fans than I am the Kings. I like the Kings. I'm a supporter of the Kings. But I am a fan of their fans. And because I'm a real fan, I can have real conversations. And one of the things that's been on my mind since that loss Friday night, and I'm reading X and commenting, and even like I'll comment on some of the analyst takes. And most of the time, if you are a established, and when I mean established, I mean you got a business card or you work for some known station. You're not necessarily established because you know anything. That doesn't make you established. What makes you established is notoriety and stuff like that. But here's the thing. If I make a point to someone who is a known commodity in a market and they don't answer, then maybe they're too busy. Or maybe they're like, oh shit, who is this guy? He's checking me and he kind of knows what's going on. I love for people to question my opinions. I love it. It makes me think. It gives me an opportunity to explain myself, and it gives me an opportunity to teach. But a lot of times what I'm finding is that that's not the goal of some people. The goal of a lot of folks in this business is really popularity. How popular can I get? How much money can I get? How many people know me? And how many people don't I want to piss off? I don't have that problem. I didn't have that problem when I worked for a major station, and I certainly don't have that problem now. Now, where am I going? This is where I'm going. The Sacramento Kings fans have to decide if they're more like Utah Jazz fans or just kind of really happy to have an NBA team, or are they like the Brooklyn Nets fans? They want their respect. They want to show the nation that they're not the Knicks stepchild. They are a market that should be respected, and they are a market of fans that are not only supportive of the team, but they know what the hell is going on. When I think of Sacramento, best case scenario, that's what I'm thinking about. It's been 30 years now. Now, I know the market is transient, and I can make the same statement about the Warriors moving from Oakland to San Francisco because it's not quite the same. But I want to stay focused on what I'm talking about now. If you're Sacramento Kings fans, you can't thoroughly embarrass and beat the Warriors, light the beam, dance in the streets, and then lose to New Orleans and call the season a failure. Which one is it? That pissed me off. The Kings' problem is consistency and really diagnosing what they need as a team. If we get to the heart of it, as great as De'Aaron Fox is, he's not really a point guard. He's a lead guard. He's one of the best lead guards in the NBA. Hell of a player, hell of a guy, but he's not really a point guard. He needs help, which is why their half-court execution is not very good. If they can address some of these little problems that they have, they can ascend next year, not to the point where they're making the playoffs, but they're actually ready to do something. Mike Brown, I think Mike Brown is a solid coach, but why at this point Lynn and JaVale McGee has not got off the bench all year? I don't have a reason. I don't have a thought for that. You might point to analytics, but I point to the end of games where Domantas Sabonis is having problems against larger, more talented, stronger players. He needs help. Are you telling me that JaVale McGee is past his prime? He can't play? Alex Lynn, I think, can play. He deserves to play more. He should have been incorporated into the Kings rotation, but he wasn't. Keegan Murray, hey, dude, you got one more year. You can't score 32 points against the Warriors, thoroughly embarrass them, and then come out 2 days later and be invisible. And then a day later say, well, you had a groin and you kind of played through it and you were hurt in the first half. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. I didn't hear Joel Embiid coming out saying that, yo, my leg is killing me, but I'm out there playing. Those are the types of conversations that fans should be having. If you want to be more like the Brooklyn Nets, if you just want to be a team that says, yo, we're happy to have a NBA team. It's a great time out, beautiful downtown Sac area, a beautiful arena, then that's all good. But I really expect more. I got so many friends in the media up in Sacramento. A lot of y'all might not know this, but without writing a check, Carmichael Dave is profoundly responsible for the Kings even being there. I'm still waiting for that Carmichael Dave documentary. I think they win an Oscar, to be quite honest with you. You're probably like, Red, what the hell are you talking about? Call Carmichael Dave up. Call him up. The story is incredible of how he played a role in keeping the Kings in Sacramento. I love the market. But I got upset when I heard a comment that says, hey, you know, De'Aaron Fox just has to play better. That's not educating the fans. He just got to play better. Come on, no. He needs help. Whenever I make a statement about something, I generally give you some type of rationale. For example, I said that the Sacramento Kings should look at signing Monte Morris in the offseason. Monte Morris, a couple of months ago, was basically given a pass by Detroit. They let him go to sign with Minnesota so he could be on the playoff roster. Now, Minnesota probably doesn't want to let him see him go either. But I would make a hard push for Monte Morris. It doesn't mean that you don't re-sign Malik Monk, but Monte Morris could play alongside De'Aaron Fox, and the Kings would be a lot better. Harrison Barnes, if the Knicks would take him or somebody would take him, I would probably trade him. But you got to get a player back. You don't want to trade Harrison Barnes to get a less efficient player or a less quality person. Julius Randle's the guy who I would look at. You know, I mean, I can be honest. It's okay for people to be upset with me for being honest. But I think you know, Sac has to decide what they want to be at this point. You know, I hear people blaming Mike Brown. Oh man, Mike Brown's a decent coach. He's not Pat Riley. But as a player, at some point, it becomes the players. Listen to a press conference of Steve Kerr of how he is effusive in his praise of Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and all the other players, because it's about the players. Coaching will only take you so far, and then at some point, the players have to get it done. All right? Love to hear your comments on what I'm talking about with regards to the Kings. With regards to the Warriors, you guys know my stance. The Warriors are a long way from blowing this thing up and lining up with guys that nobody knows. Klay Thompson will be back if reasonable minds can come together. All right? $25 million a year, 27, 2-year deal, option for a third year, and he's back. He had a bad game. Had a good year, had a bad game. Now, the Warriors got to get bigger. They need a big who can help them. You know, They could have signed Hardenstein, you know, and I don't, you know, he's probably too expensive, but they need to go and find a guy who can play interior defense to support Trace Jackson Davis. Draymond's days of carrying the load at the 5, those days are done. Those days are over. Long gone. Kerr knows it. Everybody knows it. I also would trade Wiggins. Not because he's a horrible player, but because it's time. It's time. If somebody knocked my socks off, I would listen to Kuminga. It's probably not going to happen. But if you trade Wiggins and you commit 30 minutes a game to Kuminga, we will all see how good he really is. Because we really don't know. Even though he wants to be paid this offseason. The Warriors not going to pay him right now. No way. They're not. Here's the most enlightening point about this season. To me, I thought that Chris Paul, after this year, was just a done deal. Thank you, Chris. See ya. But the reality is now, the option that the Warriors have on his $30 million contract is probably one of the biggest chips that they have. They don't have a first-round pick. They have some young talent. Theoretically, you could package Chris Paul's contract and a young piece for a player to a team that wants to have a quality backup point guard and also have an expiring contract. I didn't see that coming. But now, looking at the big picture, I think that might be an option. All right, those are a couple of things that I laid out. I got so much more that I want to talk about. I haven't even talked about the playoffs, which has been fantastic. You guys know how I feel about my Knicks. Took me back to 1994. I love this team. I love this Knicks team. And they're not at their best. Next year, look out. All right, let's get the show started and go out and acknowledge some people. SG says, hi, Frank, how you doing? I watched the movie Monkey Man in theaters, and it was one of the best movies I've watched. I love the bloody violence. Okay. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. My man Jimmy says, what's up, Frank? Playoff basketball is here. Much better intensity than regular season. Only one team scored of 120 through first games. That's an insightful point. I didn't realize that, but the playoffs has been excellent. It really, really is. SG says, my mom didn't like the video. She thought it was too gory for her. Okay. My man Mark Griggs, Kings fans got too hyped with the lighting of the beam after making the playoffs for the first time in a lot of years. Found out this year that the West is a tough conference. Yeah, yes. Yeah. But the blame game, just doesn't make any sense to me. There's some reasons why this team didn't take that big leap. And I would say a big reason is just their half-court execution. De'Aaron Fox is not the quintessential point guard. He's just not. He's a good player. He's ultra athletic. He's going to score 25 points a game and probably get you 5 or 6 assists. They need, which is okay if he's playing against other starters, but when they play against really good defensive teams, it's going to squeeze you in the half court. He needs help, because none of their forwards are great passers. Keegan Murray's not a great passer. Harrison Barnes not a great passer. Malik Monk's not a great passer. Kevin Huerter's not a great passer. DeMontis is a pretty instinctive passer out of the post. But that's not really where you get easy baskets. You get easy baskets when you bring your post player out at the elbow and you get cuts to the basket. They need more instinctive passers on the Kings. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. I didn't have to say anything. I just put that out there. Call it hyperbole if you want, but I'm going to say this. This Boston Celtics team, woo, they are good. I was thinking to myself, pick any of those Warrior teams, any 4 of those Warrior teams, and this Boston team would be very competitive against any of those Warrior teams that won championships. I'm not saying they beat the Warriors. Maybe they would. I have no idea. But do you guys see what I'm seeing? This Boston team is outstanding. You got Al Horford knocking down threes. Jaylen Brown, Tatum, who's a big fella? I don't want to butcher his name. Porzingis, right? Porzingis, yeah. I mean, he's knocking down threes. Holiday. They are really, really good. I mean, as good as Denver is, to me, it's Boston's championship to lose. And I was very proud of Miami. Miami played them. I mean, you look at a team who's getting hammered by 30 and playing their ass off. The only guy in Miami that I was disappointed by was Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero looked horrible. And that's disappointing to me because I was an advocate of Portland taking him. And, you know, he's a streak shooter. He could put numbers up. But he looked really bad against good competition today. You know, he clearly hasn't worked on his body. All of the other Miami players look like they live in the weight room, but not Tyler Hero. I don't get it. Jimmy says Celtics would be tough to beat, but every year they can't get it done. Yeah. I mean, great point, Jimmy, which is why I'm watching Mazzulla very closely. And I gotta admit, his mannerisms, his timing on timeouts, everything is better. Joe Mazzulla looks now like I think Boston fans wanted him to look like in 2002. I mean, in 22 when they lost to the Warriors. No, because that was Udoka. I mean, last year. He's improved. I don't know if it's Jeff Van Gundy in the background coaching him up. I don't know if he has just found his rhythm as a head coach in the NBA, but good for him because he looks like he's in control. They are the team to beat as far as I'm concerned. What I would ask everybody out there listening to the program, what has been your favorite playoff game thus far? I didn't watch the Orlando-Cleveland game. I wasn't going to spend my time doing that. There's a reason why those guys played at 10 o'clock in the morning. Nobody cares. You know? Nobody cares. But beyond that, every other game was pretty interesting. Happy for Dame Lillard. What a stat, though. 35 points in the first half. Didn't score in the second half. Didn't necessarily need to. But I mean, this pounding on Doc Rivers. I mean, the record is what it is. Politics matter in sports. They matter in life. I don't want to see Milwaukee lose in the first round. I don't want to see that. And Indiana, to their credit, continued to play them tough. But Dame came out, was on fire, and his teammates helped him enough. They should beat Indiana. Indiana has prospered for the most part this year because they have good emerging players, but they just hustle. They play for 48 minutes like one of the few teams in the NBA. So the other game that I thought was pretty interesting was obviously the Knicks versus Philly. Let's tip our hats to The Philadelphia 76ers. I can't. Who's the guy who played at Kansas? Who's on Philly now? Played for the Warriors a year. I'm drawing a blank right now because he's playing good. Kelly Oubre. There you go. Kelly Oubre is playing damn good basketball. I was thinking to myself, damn, I think the Warriors could use Kelly Oubre. How he's playing right now. He's playing really good basketball. He's always been a pretty aggressive defensive player. He was kind of a cast-off on Charlotte. Couldn't really get a decent contract. I think he signed for maybe like the veteran minimum contract. But he's playing high-level basketball right now for Philly. The Knicks got to beat them. Embiid is not 100%, not even close. Even if he was, I think the Knicks are a better team. The Knicks are one of the best coach teams in the NBA, particularly from a defensive perspective. They just grind you. In Philly, because of Kyle Lowry, they took a lot of what Jalen Brunson wanted to do away. Nobody saw Josh Hart coming. I didn't see that. It was beautiful. It was very John Starks, alien, John Starks-esque. In the biggest moment, here comes John Starks making all the plays. It's not by mistake that James Dolan had all of those OGs in the house. I love that. And Josh Hart had a moment. A moment. They got to win that series, but that was a moment that he will have for the rest of his life. And Knicks fans all around the world were collectively rejoicing over what we were watching. That was fantastic. Jimmy says the Pelicans OKC was a good game. Will be interesting to see how OKC makes it through the playoffs since they are so young. Yeah, great point, Jimmy. I'm disappointed in the Pelicans. They let one get away. I'm sorry. Good game and all of that. They let one get away. I was disappointed in CJ McCollum. I mean, he made a nice little baseline shot to get him within one late. But if ever they needed somebody to step up and win the game, that was tonight. I mean, OKC was skittish down the stretch. There's no way that they were supposed to win that game. They outplayed the Pelicans for, 3 3/4 quarters? And at the end, literally tried to give it away. You know? And I was thinking to myself, that's why the Warriors wanted them. Can't see the Warriors losing that game tonight if they were playing OKC. Can't see it. And here's the thing about the NBA. You assume that OKC is going to be better next year. But are they? We don't know. We know they'll be good. But the NBA is about matchups. It's about execution. You know, a lot of times people hear people commenting about how good a coach Ty Lue is. Exhibit A. This is why people respect Ty Lue. Because nobody had the Clippers beating Dallas today. I'm sure some people did. But the majority of folks thought Dallas would run into LA and smack the Clippers today, especially without Kawhi playing. And that didn't happen. That did not happen. And you got to give the coaching staff a lot of credit for that. And Steve Ballmer debating whether or not he wants to pay Paul George a max contract. Stop playing. Come on, man. If Drew Holiday can get a max contract at 33, 34, Paul George is going to get his money. Stop playing. Give him his money. My man Mark Gray says Coach Ham saying they haven't used all their adjustments for Jokic is pretty comical. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. I was discussing with a friend of mine last night about that particular game. And here's an honest assessment about the Lakers. If you look at the 30 teams in the NBA, and you just gave all the teams a basketball IQ test, the Lakers would probably be maybe 15. And that's only because LeBron is no doubt, he's in the top 3. Imagine where the Lakers would be in a basketball IQ test if they didn't have LeBron. They're just not that smart. So the game is hard for them. They play tough against Denver for 3 quarters. For 3 quarters. And then Denver just walked away from them. Because, why? Go back to the game. I think Anthony Davis threw a crucial bounce pass to D'Angelo Russell, and he smokes a layup. Remember that? That was in the 3rd quarter. Smokes an easy layup. And then on the other end, they give up a 3. 5-point differential, game over. The Lakers were right there. And when you have LeBron James on your team with a lead, you can beat anybody. Because he's going to control the game. Now, if you're losing late, it's going to be tough for you to overcome because sometimes LeBron has bad body language. I get it, but somebody who's able to really lift their team, and he's done that. I'm not saying he hasn't. But he has to endure the frustration of educating these guys on how to play. Even his coach. Mark Graves says they haven't used all of their adjustments. Why not? Why not? You would have to think that Denver is vulnerable right now. Particularly when you look at what Michael Porter Jr. is dealing with. And he's talking about his teams having his back. They're fragile. Reggie Jackson is their backup point guard, who's playing pretty good basketball, but he's their backup point guard. Give me a break. SG says, stayed in a hotel in Hawaii, and I saw Steve Ballmer while we were in the elevator. And I asked him if I could take a picture with him, and he said yes. Wow, that was pretty cool. You know how many people have said no? Hey, man, I could play for Ballmer any day of the week. And I would be trying to learn as much about Microsoft as I could. I saw him tonight on television. He looked like he was about to cry. He was so into the game. I mean, Ballmer gets it. Ballmer gets it. One of the best owners, to me, in the NBA. He's really about the experience and he's about the fans. I mean, think about this. Do you know how many rich billionaires would be crying and moaning over how much an arena costs? Like they're going to take those billions to the grave with them. Give me a freaking break. That new arena that Steve Ballmer is building is probably going to outlive him. But he wanted to give something to the city. Give it to the fans. Some of the best moments of his life, seemingly, is going out and watching his team. Steve Ballmer was on Paul George's Podcast B. Real good stuff. I'm a Ballmer fan. Mark Gray says, should Zubac have gotten a flagrant 2 on throw on his elbow? No, but yes. Was it malicious? Was it egregious? Absolutely not. Did the officials want to kind of give Dallas a head nod like, okay, so we got you a little bit? Yes. That was all theater, Mark. That's all that was. You know that was theater. That was theater. Zubac wasn't even looking. So I get it. I was just really impressed with the Clippers, how they took them apart. Does that mean they're going to win the series? No, it doesn't. I still think it's going to go 7. And if Kawhi doesn't play, it wouldn't surprise me if Dallas wins. Now, if Kawhi is playing, I'm going with the Clippers. So we'll see. One more point about the Lakers I want to make. You think the Lakers regret not keeping Kentavious Caldwell-Pope? They've never replaced him. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is one of the best two-way two guards in the NBA. That dude is a flat-out winner. Won a chip with the Lakers, won a chip with Dallas. Vital catch and shoot guy. What is he, a top 12 two guard, top 10? 6'5", plays really good defense, really good leader, not afraid to get in guys' faces. What a valuable player Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is. I'm not reading that. We're talking sports, SG. We're not talking about your vacation plans. It's okay to give us a nugget, but we're talking about sports. One of the more disappointing things to me was watching, and I'm not surprised by it, but you guys saw Phoenix. Didn't it look like they gave up? Minnesota just went through them. Anthony Edwards is what? Top 5 player? You know what? I had that wrong. He played 1 year at Georgia. Didn't even have a 500 record. He put numbers up, but I did not see that coming. I could not have been more wrong about Anthony Edwards. Did I think he'd be a good player? Yes. Did I think that he would be a transcendent player? No, I did not. So if you had that plug from the start, I salute you, because I did not. This dude is a top 5 player, future MVP candidate. He ain't Jordan yet. Maybe he never will be. But he does a lot of Jordan stuff. I'll tell you that. Can you imagine being an owner of a team with that guy on your squad? 22 years old? You're going to have him for the next decade? Marketing? Are you kidding me? I'm really impressed with Anthony Edwards. Not very impressed with Devin Booker. Not. Devin Booker plays like the 3rd best player on a really good team, while the media and other folks trying to anoint him like he's the best player on a really good team. He's not that guy. He's not. And it's disappointing because going back to the Olympics, he actually made some strides defensively. And I think that he tries sometimes, but a lot of talking, a lot of back and forth. Dude, that's your team. Kevin Durant is old. Kevin Durant is an older player. He gets tired, particularly late. Still good, but Kevin Durant plays like the 2nd best player on a really good team, not the number 1 guy. You can make excuses all you want, but Kevin Durant has not looked like Kevin Durant in a couple of years. He's looked really good. He's a top 25 player in the NBA. Top 20. Damn good. But he's not Kevin, Is Kevin Durant a top 10 player right now? Tell me I'm wrong. Phoenix gets nothing from their bench. The big three has to score 30 each for them to have a chance. Yeah, but here's the thing though about Vogel, Mark. He doesn't play his bench. I mean, not playing Josh Okogie because he can't shoot is not a good enough excuse for me. When you got Anthony Edwards on the other team that you got to stop, give me a break. That's almost a fireable offense. You got Josh Okogie on your team. You just gave Grayson Allen $70 million. And you got to go out and who's going to stop Anthony Edwards? And you can't get Josh Okogie in the game? That's asinine. No wonder you don't get anything from your bench. You don't play him. It's interesting to see these teams like Phoenix that go to the finals and lose and seemingly are close but never get back there again. Yeah, great point, Jimmy. You know why? Because it's hard. Because it's very hard. You know, because that mountain gets a little higher every year. And we don't know who's putting in the work. We don't know. I mean, that's why when I hear Warrior fans talking about breaking this team up, these are champions. And they've won 4 chips. They've climbed the mountain 4 times, and you want to break it up? I love it. I love it because it's really about the journey. Winning the chip is, right? That's the whole meal. But the journey. I'm so in love with this Knicks team, how hard they play. You know, if and when they lose, it's all good because nobody's going to play harder than them. Juxtapose the New York Knicks versus the Phoenix Suns. How do you think the Phoenix Suns fans feel right now? That was awful. Do you think the Bucks playing through Dame like they did today instead of playing through Giannis is a better formula for winning? Seems like Dame plays a lot better with the ball in his hands. Yes, you're absolutely right. You know why? Because Dame he's not De'Aaron Fox. He's more of a point guard, I think, than De'Aaron Fox. But Dame's a lead guard. Dame has always been a lead guard. Even going back, watching Damian Lillard play in high school. He plays now like he played in high school. Obviously a hell of a lot better. But yes, because Dame is an old school player. He is the quintessential pick and roll point guard. You know? So when he has the ball coming off that high pick and roll, he's deadly. Step back, you know, jump stop, take it to the basket. Now, I'm going to say this. This is where coaching comes in. You got to get to the middle. You can't take what Dame does well away from him, but other teams will ultimately scout him. And they've scouted him this year, and he's had some challenges when in various points they tried to play through him. They got to play through Giannis, and they got to give him the room to play through himself sometimes. But it can't be one way. It can't be all Giannis, and it can't be all Dame. The other thing is, it's like when you're struggling offensively a little bit, your defense can't fall apart. You got to play defense. You know, you must play defense. And watching Philly and watching the Knicks play, I was in heaven because At certain points during that game, let's face it, neither one of those teams had it going. It was a rock fest. But yet, the defense was able to carry both of those teams through, particularly the Knicks, until they started to make some shots. And then they were able to break through. The Lakers' defense also breaks down, which is disappointing. Overall, the NBA playoffs has been fantastic. It really has been. And for people who say, woe is me, the NBA is going downhill, LeBron's going to be gone, and Steph is going to... You know what? When those great players ultimately say goodbye, and neither one of them will for a couple of years, you think this league is not going to be great? We've been on air now for 46 minutes. We haven't talked about Victor Wembanyama, who arguably 15 years from now, we could be talking about this guy being the greatest player who's ever played basketball. Sounds like hyperbole now, but maybe in 15 years, not so much. I actually read a message on X associated to George Karl's Twitter handle, if you will. And I'm sure some of you probably saw it. George Karl says that he's been watching basketball for 50 years, and he thinks that Jokic is the best player that he's ever seen before. A lot of folks might be outraged by that statement. I was measured. I was like, okay, so can we compartmentalize that statement? Are you saying he's the best offensive big man that you've ever seen before? Please explain yourself. The best player? So I reached out and replied to George Karl. I said, Coach, can you tell me your criteria for making that statement? Because that would help me understand how you reach that conclusion. Haven't heard from him yet. That's the type of stuff that I do. I'm like, okay, can we think? Can you explain yourself, please? We deserve that. This is a Hall of Fame coach. You have 140 characters. If you're going to say that Nikola Jokic is the best player that you've seen in 50 years, there's still enough time for you to explain why. Is that asking too much? I don't think so. But I think George Karl is kind of, George Karl likes to get a razz out of people. He does. And he knows that some people would perceive that as an outrageous statement. I don't perceive it as such. But it deserves further explanation. What were some of your takeaways from the Milwaukee Bucks 109-94 win over the Indiana Pacers? And Damian Lillard went off in this game for 35 points, and he went 6 for 11 from 3. Surprised that Indiana didn't find a way to get the ball out of his hands. I mean, he had 35 points in the first half. That's not good. But I'm a Damian Lillard fan, I watched him play since he was a very young person. I'm good friends with his high school coach, so I root for him. And he's a real dude. He's not a made-up character for television. Generally speaking, the person that you get on television is who Dame Lillard is. He's a very genuine guy, loves basketball and loves his city, loves Oakland, and he's serious about his business, man. I'm a Dame Lillard guy. Jimmy says, I'm surprised Indiana didn't trap Dame. Exactly. As much he used to get trapped in the playoffs with Portland, but his supporting cast is probably better than he has ever had in Portland as well. Yeah. They played pretty well. They did. And you hear this word associated with the Warriors a lot. Connector, right? Pat Bev was out there doing what he could do, getting guys in order. And like you said before, Milwaukee's complimentary players made some shots. Middleton made like 4 or 5, 6 shots in a row. He was outstanding. During the stretch in which Indiana was trying to make a run, Middleton took some of the ball handling responsibilities off of Dame's shoulders. He was dribbling into 15, 16 footers, knocking them down. And then Brook Lopez played pretty good also. Stock up on Milwaukee based off this performance. I don't think Doc Rivers is going to be rushing Giannis back. I don't think so. I think that they're going to probably go into game 2 at home. Even if Giannis can, quote, play, I don't think he's going to play. I don't. Jimmy says, I live in Portland. Dave gave a lot to the city. Happy to see him get a real shot at a title in Milwaukee. Wow. Jimmy, I didn't know where you live. You live in Portland? Thanks for listening, brother. Now, what you got to do for me, I've never been to Portland, but I'm one of these, like, drive and die food guys. You got to give me a couple of spots in Portland that I can go get some food. Barbecue, any Thai, anything good. Let me know. Give me a reason to go to Portland. Love it. I am Frank Red. What's up, everybody? We're talking about the playoffs. We're talking about the Kings. We're talking about the Warriors. No Warrior comments. Which is kind of interesting. What do you think the Warriors do from here? What do they need? Would you tear the house down? Or would you go out and get some complimentary parts? One of the things that I would do, and I wrote this down. I heard Steve Kerr, after the season, give a pretty honest and very articulate analysis of Moses Moody. Now, I don't think that his comments were aligned with what is actually happening throughout the season, but he made some comments about Moses Moody that I thought were pretty honest and pretty on. He said that they need Moses to shoot quicker when he gets the ball. He thinks about other things besides just taking the opportunity shots. He says sometimes he drives when he should just shoot and take the shot, and that disrupts the offense. Made some other comments too around consistency. And the only thing I thought about Steve Kerr's comments was he doesn't appear to be as critical with all of the players like that. And I'm a Moses Moody fan to the extent where I would love to, well, not love. I would think about trading Moody to the Washington Wizards for Corey Kippert. I think Corey Kippert would probably be a player that the Warriors would like. He's had a fantastic year in Washington. Could really shoot the ball. And, probably a better perimeter shooter than Moses Moody. Kind of has an attitude. Good player, decent player. Never going to be great. And I would love to see Moses Moody on a team, good or bad, where he's going to get the minutes to really define what type of player he is. Because the NBA, let's be honest, and professional sports, people say, yo, I want to win. I want to win. Yeah, but the first thing that any professional athlete wants to do is sustain their careers, establish that they belong here. That's what you want to do, more than anything. So, I want to see Moses Moody get to a place where he can show that he's a legitimate NBA player. Because going into year 4, he hasn't done that. We know he's not a flop. That's all we know. I want to see him have a significant role on the team where he is a double-figure scorer. He averaged 7.5 points a game. And, give him that opportunity if he's not going to get it with the Warriors. Man, Jimmy says, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Why do you think playoff basketball is so different in the NBA than in regular season? It's almost a different game, in my opinion. The intensity is just different. Because the way that they play playoff basketball is really what was able to help the NBA ascend to its highest level. All right, going like from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, that Jordan era, the Magic Johnson era. It's theater. That's all it is. It's theater. And fundamentally, if you are a professional player and you are in the playoffs, making wide open shots should not be hard. You should be able to make shots with contact. Basketball is about contact. It really is. And they tried to kind of warm the players up 2 months before the regular season started. The NBA is kind of like the mafia too. There's a group, probably a small group of influential people that dictate how the game is officiated. And I love it. I love it. But I think the really important people that run the NBA, using statistical data or having tremendous belief in certain individuals, believe that this is the best product that they can put forth. And I tend to agree to a point. That's why they only have the best officials officiating games in the playoffs, because they have to be able to make instantaneous adjustments also. If the game gets too physical, they need to snatch it back right away. But incorporating physicality into basketball, I think aesthetically is something that fans can really relate to and they want to see. And that's why they do it. The game shouldn't be that easy. Every shot should be contested. People should be boxed out. It's theater. That's all it is. It's theater. I love it. It draws up ratings. It engages fans. Networks love it. Can you imagine the ratings for that Knicks-Philly game? Mark Graves says, Moody is thinking about the last 2 years when, if he made a mistake, he was pulled from the game. He should have been playing over Lamb and Jerome. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But my love affair with Ty Jerome, right? Stepanet grad, White Plains. But nah, you're absolutely right. And Moody made strides this year. I'm just on a personal level. The Warriors don't want to give him away, but I want to see the guy get an opportunity to really establish himself as a pro. And I think Corey Kippert is a good player. I think he's good too. Contrast. Kratos. There you go. Kratos. If Joker wins another title in MVP this year, is he the GOAT? I've never seen anyone else dominate like him. He doesn't miss shots. The answer is no. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 6 MVPs and 6 titles. That's what I'm like. I can't fault people for not being born. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 6 MVPs, 6 titles. And from my standpoint, listen, where does Jokic rank defensively? You think, I mean, like I hear like George Karl, Hall of Fame coach. Do you think Jokic could check Shaq? Shaq is not that far from his career. Do you guys understand how devastating Shaq was? Jokic is good. He's probably the most skilled center ever to play the game. I have no problem with that. But is he a better defender than Tim Duncan? No way. I'm like, yo, I respect everybody, but you got to explain to me what you're talking about. Blows me away. Thoughts on Giannis getting traded to Golden State? Why? Why would he get traded to Golden State? I mean, you think Warrior fans are a little pretentious? You know, I mean, do you think that they think they're just a little better than everybody else? I mean, give me a break. Could it happen? Yes, but what do you send to Milwaukee on the other end? I mean, come on, y'all. That blows me away. that mentality blows me away. The Bulls haven't been good since Jordan. The Knicks haven't won since 73, 75. And all of a sudden, the Warriors are going to win 4 championships in a decade. And oh, by the way, Giannis is not happy. So why don't we just trade him to the Golden State Warriors like Kevin Durant decided to come to Golden State? Hey, the Kevin Durant decision to come to Golden State is like the presidential race, literally 50-50. Half of America thinks it's the best decision in the history of mankind, and the other half thinks that he left his team in a lark after being up 3-1 against the team that he ultimately went to. And then had kind of disparaging words for the coach when it was he and Russell Westbrook making mistakes down the stretch. I'm glad I'm not really a fan. I mean, I talk to Knicks fans all the time, and all we want to see as Knicks fans is what we saw on Saturday. We want to see blood and guts, figuratively, our teams out there competing, trying to be the best they can be. That's it. That's it. When you win a championship, that's magic, man. It's pronounced Kratos. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for that. Kratos, all right. Mark Gray says, I like Kispert too. He says, I like Kispert also. But isn't he like Pods? I don't think so. He's 6'7". Comparable athleticism, but he shoots the ball a hell of a lot better. He's not like a league guard like Pods is. But I get what you're saying, Mark. Yeah, you make a great point. I mean, hey man, I need to see more. People have this love affair with Pods. I'm like, the guy had a phenomenal rookie year. I give him all the credit in the world. But if he had to play exclusive minutes at backup point guard and not have Chris Paul this year, yikes. I mean, I heard him after the season kind of like, well, what's next year? What do you think of next year? He goes, well, obviously my role is going to increase. I'm like, I generally don't like cocky players. I just don't. I don't. I just, because I wasn't raised that way. You know, my high school coach was a Hoosiers type player, a type coach, buttoned up. You know, we just went out and played. I mean, I'm all for guys having confidence. and I'm a major supporter of Brandon Podzinski, but I thought that was even just kind of like a slight to like Chris Paul a little bit. Obviously my role is going to increase. I'm going to handle the ball a lot more and take pressure off of Steph and Clay. Really? I'm like, come on, man. So that's my take. DJ Vinus. Hey, Frank, do you see the Warriors winning one more chip before Curry retires? Not without some pretty visible changes. I mean, they need a big who can anchor their defense. They also need another consistent scorer. I'm all in favor of trading Wiggins. To get somebody in here who can help with the offensive load. I don't think they're that far. I don't think the Warriors are that far away. But I think to come back with this team without an impact player and think that they can challenge for a championship, I don't see that happening. Will they make the playoffs? Yes. Will they be good? Yes. Will they be competitive? Yes. But the league has gotten so much better, particularly the Western Conference. They've gotten longer. They're younger. The Warriors need to make a move. Jimmy says, man, we are so quick to anoint these guys as the greatest. Come on. Can't we just let their careers play out? How about that? That would be nice. The big four on Golden State: Curry, Draymond, Clay, and Giannis. Now, I'm going to say this. LeBron coming to Golden State is actually more likely to happen than Giannis coming. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. LeBron coming to Golden State to finish his career is not the most absurd, delusional, out of bounds trade possibility that could happen. It's just not. Because you put LeBron in that, you put LeBron on the Warriors, and they're a top 1, 2, 3 seed in the Western Conference. They really are. Because they'll get some more auxiliary pieces. They're ready to go. They're ready to go. The game would be so much easier for everybody. For LeBron, for Steph, for Dre. Yeah. Jimmy, the Bucks trading Giannis to the Warriors is like the 49ers trading Ayuk to the Chiefs. Yeah. I would reunite KD back to Golden State. Yeah, that bus, that train, it's all past. Kratos, should the Warriors trade Steph, Draymond, Clay to speed up the rebuild? Doesn't it take decades to recover from Middleville? A lot of times it does, but not when you have an owner who is as adamant about winning as Lacob is, willing to spend money. And you need to have really, really smart people in key positions. And you got to be lucky. Luck is a part of it. So I'm still waiting for a NBA team to not kind of live in Middleville for more than a couple of years. Generally speaking, the Lakers don't have real long periods where they don't ascend to the next level. Usually it's because a free agent wants to come to LA and, they kind of reload the train. So I don't think so. I think the Warriors might take a step back. They're not in the playoffs this year. So I think that they have a good enough organization that they can ascend and skip over some teams that would take a lot longer. Sorry to be long-winded. Kratos, What do you see the new face of the league being after Curry and LBJ retire? After those guys retire, I'll probably stop watching NBA. No other players really do it for me. Oh, wow. Kratos, I'm disappointed to hear you say that because I'm telling you right now, Anthony Edwards? Are you kidding me? Anthony Edwards is box office, dude. That's a player you want to watch. Jokic is only 27. Victor Wembanyama? I mean, now these are not like big-time markets. Giannis is not 30. Giannis is like 27, 28. I think you would be doing your basketball fan self a disservice not to watch NBA basketball because it's only going to get better. I mean, SGA? Yo, man. Zion? I mean, it's unfortunate Zion pulled a hammy against I don't remember who they played the Lakers, right? Zion Williams is literally 75-80% of what he could potentially be. You got a kid in high school right now, Cooper Flagg, who's going to be at Duke next year. They think he's going to be, a super duper star. He's going to be good. I definitely know that. So the NBA is in phenomenal shape, dude. Phenomenal shape. SG, I've asked Laker fans what are their thoughts of LeBron coming to the Golden State Warriors, and they shot me down when I made that comment. Of course they shot you down, because they don't want it to happen. SG, will you read my mind? Frank, any good movies that you watch? Yes. I saw a brilliant movie this week. It's called The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Welfare. It's Guy Ritchie's new movie. Guy Ritchie, I'm sure he's pissed off by this. Yeah, when people think of Guy Ritchie, as brilliant a film director and writer as he is, he's known for being Madonna's ex-husband. And I'm a big Madonna fan, so that's not the point. The point is, Guy Ritchie is one of the best filmmakers of his era. I don't think Guy Ritchie's ever made a bad movie. I do not think he has. And what I wanted to see is him do at least one Bond movie. I wanted Guy Ritchie to do at least one because I think he would absolutely crush it. And maybe he will at some point in his career. But this movie, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Welfare, is such a brilliant story that you really can't even explain it other than saying this. It is based off a true story of declassified documents from England. They declassified these documents in 2016. And I guess it goes back to the 40s where England was in war with, I want to say, Russia or the Germans, not quite sure. And England was up against it. The Nazis were controlling the Atlantic Ocean. They had U-bombs, they had everything, and they were really disrupting the flow of goods. And this group of CIA type soldiers, Ian Fleming, the guy who created James Bond, was actually involved in this. They devised a plan to help this ordeal. I'll just leave it at that. It is absolutely brilliant. Everybody in the movie is phenomenal. Elsa Gonzalez, she was in a movie called Ambulance. Gorgeous. I think she's from Mexico, Mexican actress, Latino. She's phenomenal. Check this movie out and then come back and let me know what your thoughts are. But Guy Ritchie he's one of my favorite directors. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Welfare. There you go. And Jimmy's on Kratos, there you go. Anthony Edwards, SGA. There's so many other good players. Mark Gray says, I just saw the previews of this movie and it looks good. Yeah, and here's the thing. The previews really, I don't think, do it justice, Mark. I mean, if you go to this movie and you watch it or watch it ultimately, you're going to be like, wow, it's really good. Jimmy, Frank, what are your thoughts on Willie Green as Pelicans coach? Seems like he's doing quite a nice coaching job. Yeah, man, I'm very impressed with Willie Green. And I'm impressed with most of Steve Kerr's former assistants. I really am. But you look at a guy like Willie Green, who comes from Detroit, who went to the University of Detroit, not a major school. This guy got it out the mud, man, and had a really solid NBA career. To see him ascend into a leadership position, to be a straight-up guy, to sit Brandon Ingram last week late in games because he wasn't doing anything. Stand-up dude, man. Yeah, I'm up on Willie Green. However, they let one get away tonight. I thought that they should have won this game against OKC. This is not horseshoes, and they might be kicking themselves at the end of the series because they should have won tonight. So I think Oklahoma City is going to learn from this loss and probably, if not cruise, I think have an easier time after getting by what was a potential upset game for them. But I'm big on Willie Green, yes. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Welfare is I'm not reading that. Come on. What are your thoughts on not a single road playoff team winning game one this weekend? I think the higher seeds will win every series this year. Yeah, I'm not totally surprised by that. If I'm coaching a team and we're playing at home, I expect to win. The Dallas game kind of surprised me a little bit, only because Kawhi didn't play. But I am such a believer in Ty Lue. B. Shaw is a really good friend of mine, so I know the type of person he is, the type of coach he is. So those guys are dogs, man. Those guys are dogs, and they're connected with their teams. And more times than not, it's about the defense. Now, defense probably can't sustain you for an entire series when you're up against a guy like Luka or Kyrie, but winning game one was big for the Clippers. I'm not surprised. I do expect there to be some road team wins, but having all the home teams win really didn't surprise me at all. Oh, I know what to talk about. I'll give you this one, SG. Elza Gonzalez was in the horror TV anthology series Dust to Dawn with director Robert Rodriguez. She's top notch. All right. This is what I want to talk about. Now, I'm not going to talk specifics, but I did want to talk about Michael Porter Jr. Really bizarre. Michael Porter Jr., I wouldn't call him a star. I would call him a vital cog in the Denver Nuggets machine. World champion. He's dealing with a lot right now. His two brothers, I think it's well documented now, Jonte Porter recently got banned for life by the NBA for gambling. A totally selfish act, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to, to to slam the guy. What I'll do is I'll talk about how much I love basketball, how much I love the opportunity for players, men and women, to play a game that they love and to get paid for it. And to think about someone being so selfish that they would blow this whole thing up for their own personal gain is just appalling to me. It's just me. I'm talking about the act, not the person. I don't know him, but I'm not surprised he got banned. He should have been banned. His contract was, he was making over $400,000 a year. Plus, there's so many other ramifications that we're going to talk about. Michael Porter Jr.'s younger brother, Corbin Porter, his youngest brother, or a younger brother, I don't know if he has one younger than that, but he was just sentenced to 6 years in prison for a fatal DUI crash that killed a 42-year-old woman in Denver, Colorado. And apparently, he appeared to be remorseful in the court when he talked about it. Again, that can't happen. It does, but that can't happen. And the one thing that I'll talk about is this. It's not Michael Porter Jr.'s fault. His brothers are grown. They acted upon their own volition. It was not him. But this is what I'll say, and I think everybody can relate to this. We carry the emotional weight of our loved ones' missteps. We can't help it. Let me say that again. We do. We carry the emotional pain, hurt, disappointment of the people that we love. And if I have any compassion and empathy for Porter Jr., I do. That's it. That's it right there. You know, to play God and say what was wrong, and no, I would never do that. But I just wanted to acknowledge that even though he didn't commit those acts, I do understand how he could be affected by it. And I guess his parents as well, although I don't know how they were raised or I know nothing about it, so I won't delve into it. But I will just make the point that we sometimes carry the emotional pain of the acts of people who we love. And that's unfortunate because we have nothing to do with it. Oftentimes we have nothing to do with it. And I started thinking about that when Michael Porter Jr. talked about how his teammates had his back. And I also thought about how when, you know, his brothers were in those situations, whether or not they were thinking about how their acts were impacting people who love them. That's all I need to say about it. Kratos, Michael Porter Jr. going through family trouble, still doing work. Yeah. Yet, DLO mentally melts down after missing a couple of threes. Crazy. I know. He drives LeBron crazy. You know, he does. He drives LeBron crazy. But yeah, man, you know, I've had people in my family do things that I mean, nothing to that level, to be honest with you. But I've had people do things that I just scratch my head and I go, how did that happen? You know, and it's tough, man. It really is. SG, read this, please. Hey, at SG, you are repeating what he just told us. Is it? Right, stop it. It's not necessary. Yeah. Um, the NFL draft is on Thursday, and I can talk. I'm glad too. I mean, like I wonder, like I listen every now and then. I'll peep into like a show where they're doing like a deep dive. Well, did you see that offensive lineman is going to be drafted in the 3rd round? And I'm just going, whoa. It's not the type of show that I could do. I'm not all that interested in that, but I'm fascinated by people who can do that. I'm a highlight guy. You know, I mean, I'm a big name guy. I mean, I can talk about the players that we know, that we watch on Saturday afternoons, and pontificate about how they might do on Sundays. I'm interested in doing that. Excuse me. If you have any thoughts about some first rounders or what your particular team needs to do, we got a couple of minutes to do that. But don't expect me to tell you who's the best right guard coming out in the 5th round. I have no idea. Jimmy, Frank, you do think Ayuk gets traded on draft day? It's a possibility because it's a numbers game. I mean, listen, if the 49ers could do what they did to Arik Armstead, their perennial man of the year, if they think they can get good value for Ayuk, yeah, he could be traded. Absolutely. And, hey, man, football is a brutal game. I played a year of college football. It's not like the NBA. Ayuk needs to get his money. To say that the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl next year is a mystery. Nobody knows that. So football players have to be laser sharp on the money. So yes, it would not surprise me if Brandon Ayuk is traded on draft day. If the 49ers and his people feel that they can reach some type of conclusion on a dollar amount, I could see him staying. But yeah, that would not surprise me at all. Yeah, no. It's going to be interesting because Caleb Williams, you know, the tools are there. I think Daniels is going to go to Washington. I do believe that. I think the quarterback out of North Carolina is going to go to New England, or it wouldn't surprise me if New England traded down. I think Brock, the kid out of Napa, out of Georgia, tight end, he's going to go to the Jets. I know it's been well reported. Aaron Rodgers has worked so well with tight ends. He seems like a New York type guy. He likes the moment. Did a great job at Georgia. I would love to see him go to New York. Bowers, right? Some of the highlights. The rumor is Ayuk at the 49ers 34th pick to the Chargers for the 5th pick. Wow. I would do it, then maybe trade back and get more picks. So what would the 49ers do with the 5th pick? Would they go and get what? An offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, or a corner? Because they probably think that they're laughing at those people who's taking wide receivers in the top 10 picks. Because there's so many, I mean, there's a lot of talent out there. What do you think of the Rice? You know, what do you think of Jerry Rice's kid? I mean, he's probably going to go in the 3rd round. You know, when the 49ers are not commenting on a player, they like him. Would not surprise me if he's on the 49ers next year. Would not surprise me at all. I like the kid Coleman out of Florida State, who ran like a 4.5, 4.6. The combine wasn't that fast, but I mean, this dude dominated college football last year. I love him. So he could go in the second and third round. So, yeah, I think the 49ers feel pretty confident that if Ayuk is gone, they can find somebody to, if not replace him, but help to do some of the things that he did. I mean, third and Jennings. Jennings is coming back. Maybe Jennings slides into the starting lineup. I don't think the 49ers are worried about their wide receiver position to the extent that they're going to overpay Ayuk, overpay him in their minds. I'll just say that. Jimmy says, if the 49ers go for the 5th pick, for that, they could get Harrison Jr., or Neighbors, and have a cost-control wide receiver for the next 4 or 5 years. Neighbors is really good. Harrison's going to go 4 to Arizona, I believe. I don't think they have a chance of getting him. But Neighbors, I think, is a real possibility. Great call, Jimmy. Offensive tackle to protect Purdy if he stays at 5. That's pretty high to draft an offensive lineman when I think that there are numerous guys out there that they think will be around. So it'll be interesting to see what they would do with the 5th pick. Looking forward to hearing Bill Belichick on Pat McAfee's NFL draft coverage this year. Yeah, man. One of the things about Belichick that people say that outsiders like us don't get a chance to see is that the guy has a real personality. And I'm interested in getting a taste of that along with this analysis, because you talk about a football lifer. This guy is unbelievable. I don't like the noise around how he was, kind of treated like in Atlanta and maybe some of the other places that he interviewed. With that said, Bill Belichick is no choir boy, and this might be him getting a little taste of his own medicine. He has not always treated people nicely. He hasn't always been the greatest person. He's always put football first, and I think this is just part of the circle. Everything comes around. So I think if he wants to be a head coach in the NFL, ultimately it will happen. But I don't like people putting salt on his name. Keep it about football. All right. Mark says, at Jimmy, what channel is that on? Okay. That's on ESPN, right? Got to be ESPN. McAfee Show. Yeah. Yeah, YouTube as well. Yeah. I can never get through a whole 2 hour of McAfee Show. I watch it when I can. I like the fact that he's unapologetically himself. And his boys, his cast of characters, he's riding with those dudes. I really like what he's done. It's hard for me to watch 2 hours of that though. So, I told you guys and ladies, whomever listening, that we had a lot to talk about, and we've talked about it. We've spent 90 minutes. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Once you get ready for your week, I want to thank everybody for stepping in the dungeon tonight. I really appreciate it. This is awesome, an awesome opportunity for me to talk to you. I will ask you, hit the like button. If you like the show, hit the like button. It does help in the algorithm and all that good stuff. We're trying to raise the numbers, but only if you want to. All right. Hit me up at Big Frank Red on X. I'm active on there talking about sports and so many other things. I said at the top of the show that DJ Premier and Nas have a joint out there, a new record, new single. I like it. And I'm in the studio working on some stuff as well. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to do my thing and get out of here, y'all. Success and getting paid is the manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. All right. Maybe I'll be on tomorrow or the next day, but I want to thank you once again for checking me out in the dungeon. I am Frank Red. Everybody have a great start to your week, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.